Hey everybody, CNC Keith here again. In this video, I'm going to show you how to update to the latest version of Acorn CNC12 software, version 4.14, from a previous version. As you see here, I have Acorn up and running. Let's check out what version I'm using. I'm using right now version 4.12. And if you can get this information by hitting F1 setup from the main screen. There's the version number, there's your Acorn serial number, and it tells you what level of CNC12 that you're currently using. The very first thing that you want to do is go to the Centroid website and download from the Acorn CNC control page the latest version of software. So here I am on the Acorn page, and I'm going to scroll on down to the software downloads page, and right here you can download the zip file, and I've already done that. It's on my desktop, so let's just go ahead and take a look at that. Here's my desktop, and here's the 414 zip file right here, and you can right click and hit extract all, and it produces this folder right here. And if I open that folder, there's a couple files in here, and the reason why I'm asking you to do this right now is to get to the instructions, the update instruction set here. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on that and open that up. I certainly want you to resist the temptation to, at this point, start clicking Setup EXE. Don't do that, because the instructions here have us doing some maintenance items that are very important before you update your software. Alrighty, let's check it out. The first thing it wants us to do is to, with the Acorn board powered up and running, make screenshots using the snipping tool and make a report from the utility menu. Alrighty, well, I've already got CNC12 up and running here, so I'm going to make a report, create report. I'm going to save that to my desktop, and it's done. And what the report contains, it's a zip file that contains all the machine-specific setup parameters and steps per inch and what type of homing you're doing and all that kind of good stuff, all in a zip file. And that's a nice thing to have. We most likely will not need that, but if you do need it, you're going to be glad that you had it. So, little maintenance item. Next thing I'm going to do is just shut down CNC12. And I'm going to go ahead and start the wizard, and the wizard is of course what you use to set up your Acorn CNC12 installation originally. And the instructions are asking to make screenshots of the wizard setting with the snipping tool. There's a built-in tool into Windows called the snipping tool, and if you just type snip in the search bar, it shows up. And this little program, if I click new, allows me to capture these settings, and I'm going to save them. I created a folder on my desktop called 4.12 Wizard Screenshots, and I'm going to go ahead and just save this. I'm going to call it tab 1, and I'm going to go to the next tab and click new and capture this as well. And all I'm doing is making a hard copy backup of all this information that we entered into the wizard that makes your particular installation and machine tool run. So there's tab 2. Now you would just go on and capture screenshots of all the other tabs that you have here and the settings that you have. I'm not going to go through all that. So make screenshots of all those, save them in a folder. And it would be a great idea to save that folder somewhere other than just on this CNC PC. So put them on a thumb drive or save them somewhere else for safekeeping. Alrighty, let's go on to the next step. Next step, copy your existing CNCM or T directory. So what it's asking us to do in the instructions is go into the C drive and find the CNCM for mill, CNCT for turning, depending on if you have a mill or a lathe. Right click, copy, and paste. And what we're doing this for is we're creating an entire copy of the entire working CNC12 version 4.12 directory. Now again, hopefully we won't need this, but if you do need it, you're going to be glad you had it. Let's go ahead. I'm going to right click and click rename, and I'm going to call this working 4.12. It's also interesting to note that if you saved your programs, loaded them into the CNC file directory, we also just made an entire backup of all your G-code programs as well. So, and if you had any custom macros or custom home programs, they're saved in this folder as well. We just made an entire copy. And just like with the report, same advice. It's a really good idea to right-click, copy, and then save this out to a thumb drive or a USB hard drive or a network drive, just some other hard drive other than the hard drive that we're using on the CNC PC for safekeeping. Alrighty, let's go back to the instructions. Okay, we copied it, we renamed it. Step 3, uninstall the CNC12 installation using add and remove programs. Alrighty, to do that, I'm going to come down here to the Windows bar, type in add, remove, and if I type add right, it's going to work. Add, remove, and there it is. Double click on add, remove, and the add, remove Windows software uninstaller shows up. I click on CNC12, click uninstall, and click uninstall. It asks me here, would you like to delete all of your CNC programs and intercon files as well? I'm going to go ahead and say yes to that because we made an entire copy of the CNCM directory, so I have all that stuff. Okay, it's successfully uninstalled, and let's go back to the instructions. Step 4 is delete the leftover directories. Okay, so back to the C drive, and you'll notice there's still a CNCM directory, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Okay. Back to the instructions. Be sure to have Acorn powered up and running with the heartbeat before installing the new version. Okay, I never turned my Acorn off, so it's sitting here connected to the CNC PC with a heartbeat. Just checked it. Everything looks good. Download the latest zip file and unzip it from the Centroid website. Okay, we already did that to get these instructions, and then inside the folder, double-click Setup EXE and start the installation process. Alrighty, let's go ahead and do that. Here's the zip folder that I just did extract all, right-click extract all, and it produced this folder. I open this folder, and inside of there is this setup.exe. Let's go ahead and double-click on that and start the installation process. So just answer the questions, click whether you want mill or lathe, and I'm doing a mill install. And click next and finish. Alrighty, it is all done. Now here's where things get a little different than version 4.12. You'll notice there is no wizard icon on the desktop. That's because to start the wizard now, you do it inside of CNC12. So to get things going, I'm going to double click on the CNC12 mill icon on the desktop and CNC12 starts. You'll notice that it's doing a firmware upgrade right now. So just like the instructions on the screen says, absolutely do not unplug the Acorn power at this point in time. Okay, the firmware was successfully installed and CNC12 is booting. Fantastic. It's really cool that the Centroid CNC12 software takes care of all that firmware updating for you. It's a really nice feature. Alrighty, I need to configure. I'm going to go ahead and just click Setup F1 just to see. Sure enough, we're running version 4.14. Excellent. Well, I need to configure this version of 4.14 just like we had 4.12 using the information from those screenshots. So I need to start the wizard, and how you do that is you hit F7 Utility, and then there's a new button in the Utility menu, F10 Acorn Wizard, and now the wizard starts. Okay, the wizard looks a lot different. It's got a bunch of new features and new tabs and more screens, and the navigation is here on the left. There's a bunch of new features in both the wizard and in version 4.12. That's a little beyond the scope of this video. The video is just to show you how to get things up and running and updated. So what you would do right now is you would open up those screenshots that we made in 4.12 and reset the wizard settings using 4.14 to be the same values. So it's pretty easy. mine was a Gecko G540, and in the configuration, I was running at 300 inches a minute for fast. So I'm going to save these settings. 200, 200, 200. And I'm going to go back to the I/O definitions. I was using a spindle brake, so I'm going to come down and add spindle brake release. And you would go through these menus and reset everything. Again, there's a bunch of new stuff in here that will warrant their own video. I'm just going to gloss over them right now. If you successfully use the wizard in 4.12, you're not going to have any problem using this wizard. It's just a little better organized and has a bunch of new stuff in it. So once you set your configuration up the way that you had it in 4.12, your steps per revs, your max rates, your travel limits, your homing directions, what type of homing, and all that kind of good stuff, you just hit rate settings of CNC control and say yes. And it comes up and says, hey, you've changed the PLC and we've got to repower the Acorn board. Click OK. So it's going to shut CNC12 down and then give you this message to power cycle the Acorn board. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the AC voltage from the logic power supply, which I just did, and plug that back in. And I've successfully rebooted Acorn. And the message here says, wait for the heartbeat and then click OK. So I'm looking at the Acorn board. The heartbeat is flashing. So I click OK. Now CNC12 4.14 is rebooting with a new PLC program downloaded into the Acorn board and all my settings. So I'm going to go ahead and cycle my e-stop. E-stop's working. Excellent. And I'm going to hit cycle start. We have just successfully updated to version 4.14. Now there's all kinds of good stuff like I alluded to, new stuff. You can see here the active G codes on the left. You can choose in the wizard to have that displayed or not have that displayed, and there's all kinds of fun stuff in there for you guys to explore. I look forward to your questions and conversation on the forum. Please go to the forum and post your questions on the forum for everybody else to see so we can share all the information about how to set up the Acorn CNC12 version 4.14. That's it. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.